Hello and welcome to this episode of Why Behavior Matters. October is ADHD Awareness Month, and so I will be doing 4 episodes on this topic. Today we want to start with, what is ADHD? I would like to suggest to you that ADHD is simply a trait. It is the heightened ability to turn a boring event into an entertaining experience that is either private or public. Let me share with you my personal story so that perhaps you can understand this definition. My son was diagnosed with ADHD in the 7th grade. Prior to the 7th grade, from pre-K to 6th grade, his parent-teacher conferences kind of went the same. We go in and the teacher just talked about how wonderful he was, how kind he was. And then they would begin to tell us that he was doing fine in school, but he had a few challenges in math and reading, but nothing serious. They also share with us that he was a daydreamer. No matter what they tried, sometimes they just could not have a lesson that was more entertaining than what was outside the window. But something changed in the 7th grade. We went to the parent-teacher conference and no one had anything good to say about him, not even that he was kind. And that struck us. They began to tell us that he was disruptive in class, just tapping on the desk, and particularly telling a lot of jokes. We knew that sounded familiar, but the fact that he would do it when someone else was talking was not a trait that he normally exhibited, at least when we were around. That's when the situation became a concern for us. So we decided to go seek out some help and find out what was this that was keeping him daydreaming when he should have been paying attention. Eventually, the doctors diagnosed him with ADHD, an attentive type. And it took me a while to discuss the matter with him because I just couldn't understand what ADHD was, and especially the fact that he wasn't hyper. So I read, and after reading and just observing, the light bulb went off. And I realized my son had a similar trait with those children who struggle to maintain their behavior, and they had this outward way of entertaining themselves, perhaps by dancing and just moving all around the classroom when the teacher is teaching. Well, my son didn't do that, but he was like this child here, whose thoughts were more entertaining than the subject matter on the desk. And so what I did was sit my son down and I shared with him, sweetheart, you have this wonderful ability to entertain yourself when things get boring to you. And so I helped him to realize that yes, the child who is out of their seat, running around, well, he's got the same ability as you. You guys are so smart that you refuse to sit there and be bored. It's a great quality to have. In fact, we all have it. Some of us, you may relate, sit at our desk and think about a whole lot of other things that are more interesting than what's in front of us. The challenge is when this ability is so heightened that it disrupts one's education, one's job, even one's relationship. That's when something needs to be done. We will discuss that next week. But meanwhile, I want you to understand that ADHD is not something to stifle. I will say that in some cases, it definitely needs to be trained in a way that will allow the person to be productive in school, productive at work, and in their daily lives. Just remember that ADHD, it is a common trait among people who love doing creative things. It is something that we all want to do. At periods of our lives, we want to be creative. And there are people that just have this ability to be creative constantly. And they are our entertainers of the world. They are our authors. They are our builders. And so we want to make space for them. And so if you're one of them, I encourage you to embrace the trait. But also, if it's bothering you, take some time to train it. Remember, behavior matters because everything we think, everything we do, and everything we say is a matter of behavior. See you next week.